The next one we're going to be taking a look at is the MechaGodzilla, and or as I like to call him, eBay scalper up the butt 3000, because when this thing came out, I saw some pretty nasty prices on eBay. Like, the only reason I have this thing is because I got it in a lot, and that explains why I have the duplicates of the Godzilla with Heat Ray, Kong Battle Axe, and the Skullcrawler, yada yada yada. I kind of only bought the lot just for this guy, but hey, I got some other goodies. But with that being said, let's talk about this guy. The MechaGodzilla is easily my favorite of the Godzilla Kong line, or Godzilla versus Kong lineup. Because like as far as like the sculpt and paint, not so much paint, because we have two tiny pupils that are painted red, mixed in with some gun silver metallic color for the bottom jaw, and a bit of red splotches here, here, and here to kind of like give that core red energy appeal that MechaGodzilla has in the film. But that's kind of it as far as like the paint is concerned. Everything else is moving to HEAV. You already know what it comes with, but we'll talk about that later. That's kind of it as far as like the paint is concerned, because the entire base color is silver, and this entire back strip of spines, which we'll actually talk about because it's all just one, actually technically two pieces of elasticized kind of rubber, but it's all made of like the same kind of material. It's all very flexible. Got a little bit of rigidness on the middle row, but the outer rows are like pretty flexible. And we even have a bit of flexibility here, but they're all made of red rubber. But going on to the main body, we have a bunch of beautiful done detailing, especially for a $10 figure. Like, Playmates really jacked up the detailing to 11 here. Like, this is actually some really nice sculpt work for a $10 figure. We have some like sections that almost look like ribs. We have some of the paneling here, the unused cannons, like the stomach cannons, which is modeled and such. We have like the crane hands, which one's a bit more open than the other one. This one's kind of like more grabbing, and so I'll save that for later. And they even got like different poses. The arms are basically done. They all look like rectangles, but still very accurate to the film. Has a nice like detailing, like the X pattern here and here. On the legs too, which we have two sections of it, as well as like a nice little kneecap with some more segmenting and panel lining. The very awkward looking feet, which I kind of would have preferred if it had, well, more of a fault of the movie, but like a more cluttered, well, kind of more chunky ankle, as opposed to it just looking more like a high heel. MechaGodzilla's penis. And obviously, we have the very infamous tail segments, and yeah, a lot of the same kind of details, like as far as the ridges are concerned, and then all the way it goes down until where we can't really see like the ridges anymore, but we do get a nice drilled spike as well. And of course, we get some more like segmenting here, like the little. I can't remember if these were the missile launchers in the film. I think these were. And then we also have like the shoulders, the shoulder caps, and the leg caps, which are also pretty good as well. And for articulation, we have a hinge at the jaw, so we can open up pretty wide. Close that back up. We don't have anything at the head, because again, the spines will lock everything up into place. We have swivel hinge shoulders, so we can go up about that bar, down about that bar. Can rotate and go all the way around. For the waist, nothing. But for the legs, we actually have the best leg joints on a Godzilla Playmates figure ever. We can go upwards about that far, downwards about that far, and can rotate, go like in and out like that. So we go up, down, and we can bend at the knee like that, and we can swivel at the foot, and we can have a ball joint here at the tail, which is very nicely done. And for the battle damage, it's all across MechaGodzilla's chest. Kind of looks like a certain video game character, and has more like that kind of gun paint plastic look to it. So it's definitely going for, again, that more at least this looks more natural, and kind of makes sense because he did get striked here in the movie when Kong's like finishing him off with the axe. He goes like boom to the tail, and then several times to the arms and the chest. And then finally he ends it off all here and then rips off MechaGodzilla's head, which is pretty snazzy. And also let's just talk about the HEAV. As I mentioned before, it's a green HEAV as opposed to the Skullcrawler HEAV, which I'll grab just for comparison if I can find the freaking thing. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna show this here. Yep. So it has one panel of silver, and the rest is entirely green. Almost kind of reminds me of a board game piece like Monopoly, but you can actually make MechaGodzilla hold it like this. And there you go. Your HEAV is now ready to go, which is ironic because the HEAVs were never on screen with MechaGodzilla, technically, theoretically. And he actually pulled onto it pretty well. So if you want MechaGodzilla to like chuck and throw it, not so much throwing it, but you can kind of get him to chuck it. So standard MechaGodzilla, pretty good. And the last of the 6-inch figures we're going to take a look at today is... Oh wait, that's the Godzilla theme. I meant to do the MechaGodzilla theme. Is the Battle MechaGodzilla, which, as I like to call him, Brute Punch Twizzler flavor, baby. Because Beam looks like Twizzler, Fruit Punch, whatever. So I'm not going to be going over sculpt and paint. Well, sculpt and paint because it's the exact same. The only real difference is he does keep the red eyes here, which is nice, and you can actually still kind of tell that it's painted. It's a slightly different color. It's so minute. This one's a tad bit lighter, like so freaking close, even though essentially it's just the same. And it does get rid of like the red parts because this is like him powering up MechaGodzilla, like when he's facing off against Skullcrawler. Facing off, I act as if it's like the next big showdown in WWE history. And also, Gunmetal still makes a return. But essentially, he is just one big, broad color of dark gray. And the red parts are translucent, which, thank you, Playmates, for making some... Okay, stop in focusing. Thank you. It's entirely translucent. The red parts are, which, again, thank you, Playmates, for making something that corresponds really well with the previously released Heat Ray Godzilla. So now we got like a translucent Godzilla on MechaGodzilla. And yeah, he's essentially just the same as the MechaGodzilla with HEAV, just with no red, and, no red paint applications on his chest, and translucency on the spines, and a dark color scheme, of course. The only real other difference is the fact that he comes with a heat ray, or a proton scream. It's literally just the heat ray sculpt, which if I may pull it out of Mr. Godzilla, you can definitely see it's the same beam. In fact, you can actually put this beam inside of his mouth. It looks rather seamless. And you can actually put this guy's beam inside of Godzilla's mouth, and boom, you have a Godzilla evolved before Godzilla evolved. But really, it's the exact same mold. It's not as translucent of a beam. It's still translucent, but it's a lot more opaque. I'm trying to think of an example here. It's almost like painted on... I know this is going to sound weird. It's like regular window, except versus tinted window. If that makes any form of actual sense. Probably does not, but I will say like this MechaGodzilla's legs seem to be a bit looser than the originals, because every now and then, like the more I keep like fiddling with it, it has like a tendency to like topple over. I don't know if it's because of the beam. Well, let me try it out here. No, I don't think it's because of the beam. Maybe it is, but it's a fairly light piece. Maybe. But still. Also, the beam itself, even if I clamp in the jaw, it's kind of a loose fit. And it does kind of fiddle inside the mouth a little bit, so it's not the perfect, secure figure that it needs to be. But overall, at least like as far as another variant of MechaGodzilla, I definitely prefer this version to the original, as far as like the beam itself and just it being an overall, technically speaking, a cooler accessory than the HEAV. Then again, I am biased and I like my MechaGodzillas with a bit of firepower. But overall, still, a very nice addition to the MechaGodzilla family.